Well, here's something I bet you didn't see coming. Uber, Lyft, Postmates, and most likely DoorDash are refusing to comply with AB5, the California gig economy law. This is not a surprise, although, unlike the headline of this article, there's actually a good reason why they might not be doing that. There's actually a couple of good reasons. So, we're actually going to be looking at this one, and we're going to be looking at it fairly. So, if you think this is just going to be me bashing Uber, no, this one's actually a little bit more complicated. In the meantime, hey everyone, this is Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. Welcome to my channel. If this is the first time here and you happen to like this video, please do me a favor. Click that subscribe button below, ring that bell notification. We upload on a near daily basis. You'll be notified of premieres, live streams, videos, all that jazz. So anyway, let's look at this NPR radio, the National Public Radio Incorporated. And there's a picture of McDonald's and Postmates, of course. So, a new law that went into effect in California on Wednesday is supposed to make it harder for companies to hire workers as contractors. But gig companies like Uber, Lyft, and the food delivery platform Postmates are refusing to reclassify their fleet of drivers as employees. Supporters of Assembly Bill 5 say companies have been exploiting contract workers for years because they aren't considered employees who get benefits like health coverage and workers' compensation. The law touches many industries, from trucking to tech to certain medical professions. AB5 does include carve-outs for professions such as dentists and attorneys. Democratic Assemblywoman Lorena Gonzalez says misclassification is a problem throughout the economy, but she zeroed in on gig companies during last year's legislative session. Quote, the same week that workers had to go on strike because their per-mile fee was being cut, an investor was celebrating his $30,000 investment that became $120 million in one day, she said during a debate on the assembly floor. Something is wrong with the way that we have allowed these companies to operate. Now, it's interesting that that is singled out because, look, I have to be honest, if you're an investor in Uber or something, you didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't. I mean, have you ever read those articles that they're like, hey, had you invested $1,000 in Amazon this year, you would make this much. Had you invested $1,000 in Google this year, this is how much you'd have today. They write those articles, and they're usually written by websites that deal with the stock market because they want to encourage people to invest. Because here's the thing, $1,000 is on one hand a lot of money. On the other hand, it's really not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things. If you put $1,000 into Amazon when they went public and it was like $20 a share, you would get a heck of a ton of shares, and that stock is now worth about $1,500 as of this writing. And at that point, in hindsight, $1,000 into Amazon doesn't sound like that big of a deal. I bought a lot of Disney stock when I was younger. When I was getting young and just starting buying stock. Disney was a stock that I would buy frequently, partly because I really liked Disney, and partly because it was cheap. It was always consistently about $30. But recently, that stock is a lot more valuable now, and I got started as a kid. So, no, if you want to put money on a company and it becomes $120 million one day, that's not the investor's fault. The problem has always been the CEO bonuses and pay compared to the drivers, especially when the drivers are the one building the company. And of course, the fact that the drivers really didn't get any stock. And I know some people use that argument. They can't because we're independent contractors. No, you could. They just didn't want to. So, the legislation codifies a ruling from the California Supreme Court that established a new test for classifying workers. Gonzalez says she hopes city attorneys and the state attorney general will hold gig companies responsible if they do not comply with the law. This is an ongoing battle, she says, as the law takes place. Uber and Lyft declined to interview for the story, but they and other gig companies have developed a multi-pronged strategy to avoid complying with the new law. First, companies are negotiating with lawmakers and labor unions to create an alternate class of worker, basically a contractor with added benefits. Which, hey, in all fairness, this might be a perfect solution. This might be the middle of the road solution we need. I've always said that that is not something I'm opposed to. Also, earlier this week, Uber and Postmates filed a lawsuit in federal court challenging AB5. And we have talked about that. It is definitely one way that they can delay this, taking effect a little bit sooner, because as you're suing over how you run your business, usually you're allowed to run the business as is until the courts figure out who's in the wrong. Then there is the nuclear option. Gig companies have sunk more than $100 million into a ballot measure to exempt them from the requirement that they are hoping to put before voters in November. I don't think that's the nuclear option. The nuclear option would be if these companies just closed shop and left California. That's the nuclear option. I think that's the missile launch option, what they just described right there. Drivers on all sides of the debate have weighed in. A group called Gig Workers Rising has mobilized drivers to demand better wages. I like those guys, by the way, and the opportunity to collectively bargain. The group lobbied lawmakers to pass AB5. But others say they fear losing the flexibility that comes with setting their own hours as a contractor. By the way, Uber and Lyft can let you set your own hours if they want to and still have you be employees, just to let you know. Quote, with this job, I have the freedom to work when I have time, says Alfonso Martinez, who drives for Uber in the Sacramento area. He says it allows him to balance the demands of being a father to school-aged children who have special needs. Okay, yep, no, I'm not arguing with that one. Industries such as trucking, journalism, and those involved in the gig economy are pushing back by filing suit in federal court. But some companies are scrambling to figure out how to comply. In December, the sports website SB Nation announced it would terminate contracts with hundreds of freelancers in light of California's new labor law. Bradley Geiser and Will Griffith are a couple of those freelance writers. They've contributed interviews, commentary, and reporting to the Sacramento Kings blog, Sacktown Royalty, for the last 5 years. Geiser says writing for the blog isn't just about making money on the side. It has also allowed him to raise his profile as a sports writer. Quote, I don't think I would be where I am trying to be a writer today without the opportunity they gave me. Vox Media, which owns SB Nation, did not respond to a request for comment. So here's the thing. This let's do this last thing. While the two Sacramento area writers aren't involved in the lawsuit, Griffith says he supports it. If you can't hold Uber and Lyft's feet to the flames and the law is affecting people that it really wasn't supposed to affect, then something needs to be changed and quick. I have always said that AB5 is a flawed bill. It's better than nothing, but it is definitely flawed. So here's the thing. This article is just slightly dishonest, because here's the thing. Uber and Lyft, I don't know about Postmates. I think Postmates made similar changes. I haven't checked, though, recently. They did make changes to their apps where it's like, okay, now they're telling you, you can see where you're going. You can see roughly how long the trip is. You can see how much you're going to get paid. And Uber has expanded their businesses. They're not just a transportation service anymore. They can be technically considered technology. I think it's a BS argument, but they're arguing it. They are getting into financing with the credit card line. They have that copter. They definitely have expanded some things. So with those changes, I think they can operate as is in California. And you can say independent contractors. You can get on and off whenever you want, and now you have the information you need to make informed decisions about the rides you are going to take. And really, that was kind of what we wanted. Now, I think the one thing that they do have to do still is I think they do have to at some point let you set your own rates. That's probably the one that they'll fight the most, but otherwise, they're actually doing a good job complying with the law. I don't know but by suing California, like we knew that was going to happen. They're still trying to fight it to a certain extent, and we're just going to have to see where it goes. So right now, the biggest concern is the freelance writers. Like, this is my first year as a freelance writer under AB5. I might actually share stories about what it's like to try to get freelance gigs in an AB5 era. That might be interesting. But in the meantime, we're going to stick this one to Uber and Lyft. What do you folks think? Do you agree with this article? Do you disagree? I would love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.